Man. And Vanessa and Biddy. AvMag FX1. That's the Atlanta Viking Mutual Assistance Group Field Exercise 1. If you've paid attention to some of our earlier videos, you've seen the RMAG FX1. That's the Resilience Mutual Assistance Group Field Exercise 1. That's our local group. They don't know that they're named Resilience. That name might not stick. That was just what I did. But the Atlanta Viking Mutual Assistance Group Field Exercise number 1. By the way, none of these people knew they were on a field exercise, by the way. They thought they were on a hike. But they were on a field exercise. We did it in conjunction with the last Atlanta Viking meetup, which if you've watched Pastor Fox's Patreon, he's got a video up. He showed up at that Viking meetup. Now, I don't know how many of those he shows up at, so I'm not telling you to go to a Viking meetup so you can meet Pastor Fox, but I can tell you one thing. He was at this Viking meetup, and it was very, very cool. And we enjoyed meeting him and getting to talk to him, and he always had just a group of clumped up on him. You know, it was hard to get up to spend some time with him at the meeting because obviously there's a lot of people interested in talking to him. We're going to talk more about that, though, in other videos. What I did want to talk about real quick while it was fresh on my mind was the field exercise. And like I said, none of them knew they were on a field exercise. They thought they were on a hike, but that's kind of what a field exercise is. And what we did is some of the guys, actually I think only 4 guys walked with their gear, but we showed up with our bug out bags, or in my case my Minuteman loadout, and just did a short 3-mile hike at Sawney Mountain Preserve, which was a beautiful park I'd never been to before. You go up this mountain, great views. Lots of people there. I got some really weird looks. I mean, you should have seen the people giving me the fish eyes. I went by because I was carrying my Mariah's small pistol, and once I put my gear on, I couldn't have it on concealed anymore. I had to put it right here on my belt. So I had a pistol right here, and I swear to God, it's not what I wanted to have, but it just was at the last minute I realized I didn't have a choice. It had to go there. So I had a pistol and all this noise, and I think the flashlight actually got more attention than anything. But I always learn something when I do these, and I did this again this time. I've never done this before with ammo, with loaded magazines, which is a major oversight. The standard GI magazine, I just weighed this before we came out here. This has 27 rounds of M855, the green tip, the old Full Metal Jacket. 27 rounds in just a standard metal GI mag is 15.3 ounces, or this one was basically a pound. So each one of these added a pound. I've got four of the 30 rounders, and I've got 2 20 rounders, which I need to take out of here and not use anymore because they don't work with my gear. But I'll pull one out if I shouldn't even try to do this on camera. If I'm not trying to do it, it comes out okay, but it's not ideal, and I shouldn't be having them in here. I like them because I'm silly, and I look even sillier now. Hold on one second, stand by. Ah, got you, bad guy. Think I survived? I really like this one because it's an old 20-round Colt with the steel follower. Just kind of a neat little piece of old gear, but I bring that up to say that I also have a 20-round PMag, and I weighed that PMag, and this old steel one weighs 11.2 ounces with that same, this one has 18 rounds, the PMag has 18 rounds of the same ammunition, and it was 11.1 ounces. So my point being, the PMags aren't any lighter. You know, if you're carrying a high quality polymer plastic mag, it's still a pound. So that's basically 6 pounds. I didn't carry my rifle. I didn't want to freak people out that much, although I think it would have been legal. But that would have been, my rifle's a little heavier because I've got a bull barrel on it. So my rifle's, I don't remember now, but I know it's over 8 pounds. So we're talking at least 9 pounds in the rifle because it would have had a full magazine in it too. And it made a big difference in my gear. I now know that with my gear, with my loadout gear, with the ammunition in the magazines, it tilts to the left for whatever reason. No, the right. It tilts to the right. It's heavier on the right than it is on the... No, it's heavier on the left than it is on the right. And I mean, I know why. I got the tomahawk over here on the left, and I've got the knife on the left. And so there's just more weight over here. So I need to adjust something. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was a 3-mile hike, so I mean, it was fine. but you just notice it. You know, you're just kind of listening to the left a little bit. So I gotta adjust up. I gotta spread the weight, or I gotta play with the straps. What else? This is the first time I had done this with the tomahawk, with the big rifleman. I do want to get a cover for this blade, because I think it would wear my canteen pouch over time the way it sits, but it never bothered me. I never felt the handle whacking. I felt a lot of weird glares though whacking. You should have seen these poor mainstream, you know, everyday normies out there. You know, some women walking by in their yoga pants and their Asics, you know, doing their power walk, and here the revolting man comes by. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. So there you go. I know this gear well. I carried it, very similar gear, not this exact. I had LBV. I had it set up like this in boot camp and ITB, Infantry Training Battalion. But when I got to the fleet, we'd switch to the LBV. But I'm really familiar with this setup, and I've humped it with a lot of weight over a lot of miles, and I still learned a little something about this particular setup this weekend. And weight being the main one. I'm gonna pick at somebody a little bit. Suburban Preparedness came to this meeting, and he did the hike with us, but he didn't carry his gear. But he brought a list of what goes into his bug out bag, and it's very comprehensive now. It's not just a bug out bag. For him, this is a never come home bag. But he weighed it before he came, and he told us that it weighed 62 pounds. That's without water. That's 62 pounds with no water. And you know what? I weighed mine. Mine is 25 pounds, 25.6. And that's with only a half gallon of water. With is 4 quarts a gallon, or is 4 quarts? Mm-hmm. So these are 2 quart canteens. So I've got a gallon of water. A gallon of water doesn't go very far. Certainly no longer than a day. So with only 1 day's worth of water, and not a hot day either, you could empty 2 canteens, quick, hard, fast, and in a hurry. You could empty 2 canteens. So without very little water at all, I'm at 25 pounds. Now I do have 2 days supply of food on here, and a sleeping system. That's all called self-aggrandizement. It's I hate to use the term ranger roll because I'm a Marine, I'm not Army, but they call it a ranger roll. Your poncho and your poncho liner rolled up. It's called a ranger roll for whatever reason. So for the sake of clear communication, I'll just call it the popular name, ranger roll. So this is something that I could, in my environment now, I mean, we don't live in Alaska, we live in Northeast Georgia, but in my environment, I could grab this setup and go pretty quick, and I would be okay for a day or two by myself. Now, this is my militia Minuteman. I'm not a Minuteman really. But this is my militia setup. Minutemen are high-speed, low-drag. I think Pennsylvania State Militia, they're Minutemen. I'm just general militia. This thing also probably caused me to lose my love affair with this flashlight, for the simple reason that it's just too big, and it's got D-cell batteries, and they're heavy, and they just don't last long enough in comparison to modern options. I didn't weigh this. I should have weighed this before I came out here. It's probably at least as heavy as the magazine. Yeah, now, do I want a kind of an inefficient flashlight or another magazine of ammunition? You know, I'm sorry, I wish I would have weighed this. It might even be more than the magazine. I'll have to wait and see. So, as much as I like this flashlight, I have an emotional attachment to it for a couple of different reasons, and this one in particular. It's Palmetto Paratrooper was at this meeting too, and when I showed everyone this flashlight, he yelled out, "Nostalgia will get you killed." And I mean, you know, he's got a point. Now I can't even get the 30 rounders in here. Jeez. Never do things on camera. So there we go. I need to get rid of. I need a different flashlight, and we have talked about that before actually. And some of you have given me some good options that I never followed through on. Oh, the other thing is, and this is based because of the weight too. I have a really big emotional attachment to this knife, right? And you need a knife, and it's upside down, and it looks really cool, and I like it. But look, it doesn't come out easily with this setup, with these magazines in my pocket, or I'm sorry, the magazines in the the mag pouches on your hips. And here's my question. Now, this is kind of cool, and everyone says you need a knife, and right. But I've got a tomahawk, and I always carry a pocket knife, a decent pocket knife with a 6-inch blade. Now, between that 6-inch bladed pocket knife and my tomahawk, what does this dagger actually do? Besides look cool, and it looks cool, and I love to look cool. You know, do my whole Mel Gibson the Patriot thing. It's awesome, but does this extra weight have a place on this setup? When I'm already at 26 pounds, you know, could I eliminate 3 pounds between this knife and this flashlight alone? That's 10% weight reduction. That's a little over 10% weight reduction. If I could reduce 10% of my weight off my gear all the way around, that's a major weight reduction, you know? So this one knife and this flashlight could potentially give me 10% weight reduction. That's worth looking into. Looking cool is important. I love to look cool. I think the knife is cool. I think the flashlight has a lot of nostalgia and a retro cool factor, but it's probably not worth 10% of my weight. It's certainly not worth a magazine of ammo. And not when I don't need it. Not if I'm going to have the tomahawk and a pocket knife anyway. This doesn't have a place anymore, other than looking cool. You know, if it ever gets to the point where I'm doing a little hooking and two-handed hooking and jabbing, you know, the time is not to be fighting. The time is to be egressing. You know. So there we go. It was a good trip. Like I said, Suburban Preparedness was there. Palmetto Paratrooper was there. The Prepper Librarian was there. Pastor Fox was there. Sister Kate was there. A bunch of people we've grown to like was there. C103 was there. I'm just using the YouTube handles because no one's giving me permission to use your name. I mean, there's other people there, but I'm not throwing real names out there. But we met some neat people. We had some good time. There's about 30 people, and some of them drove a long way. We'll talk more about this later. Pastor Fox has a video, 2 videos up about it on his Patreon. So if you're one of Pastor Fox's Patreon supporters, go check on it. If you're not one of Pastor Fox's Patreon supporters, it's a dollar well spent. You know, we don't have a lot of dollars to blow around here, and we're on his Patreon, and we've never regretted it. There's a mosquito on my bride. Anyway. So there you go, man. Good time. I was supposed to get footage of the event, you know, but I left Mariah handed me the phone to take so I could film it, and I decided to take my shirt off at the last second, just wear a t-shirt, and so I set the camera down, took my gear off, took my shirt off, walked away, left the camera sitting right there. So we didn't get any footage of the FX, and I apologize. It was cool. Like I said, there was 8 people on it, and 2 of our boys walked, so there was probably 10 people total. 4 of us carried weight. The Prepper Librarian wimped out. He didn't wimp out. I'm sorry, that's not true. He didn't wimp out. But at the last second, he decided not to carry his gear. And then Suburban Preparedness walked. He didn't carry his gear. One guy had a huge pack. It was the pack I think he hikes the AT Trail with, the Appalachian Trail with. And then the organizer, David, walked. And he actually had a tomahawk. He had tomahawk and ammunition on his gear. Him and I were mildly tactical. He had a nice little cricket tomahawk I would have liked to have spent some time with, but I didn't get a chance to use it. And then he had a couple loaded magazines too, so he was, you know, kind of testing out his gear. And then the guy with the big pack, he probably had as much weight as anybody, if not more. But I don't know if he had any of his tactical stuff. He was not tactical. Anyway, I'm sorry, this has gone long, man. We appreciate you. You need to go to one of these Viking meetups, and if you can't find a Viking meetup, then you need to host a Viking meetup. I got to talk to Pastor Fox about it for a while. You're going to hear a lot about Pastor Fox out of us for the next couple of videos. He spent the weekend with us, him and Sister Kate, and we really enjoyed our time with them. They say you're never supposed to meet your heroes because they'll always disappoint you. I was not disappointed. They are cool people. And I'll say this on this video because if you're still watching, you're one of the insiders. I won't say this on the other videos. You expect Pastor Fox to be a little curmudgeonly. You know, he's, you know, maybe a little, I wouldn't say irritable, but you know, he's really no nonsense. You know, you don't feel like he's going to shoot. He was really sweet with the kids, you know, really good with the kids. Sister Kate was just a pleasure. She was a joy. Very bright and pleasant, and they were just engaging, entertaining people. You know, it's like if they weren't Pastor Fox and Sister Kate, you'd want them in your home. It was a very, very nice evening having them around. But we'll talk about more on about that in the future. Like I said, we appreciate you, men.